Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our regular BOCC meeting for August 9th, 2023. Welcome to those attending here today, those that may be watching online or watching the recording at a later date. Before we call the roll, I'd like to invite our county manager up to provide an invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. For the word of God is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes in the name of Jesus. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come together. We ask, Lord, that you watch over the county, you keep its community safe, you give wisdom to the commission to make decisions that are wise for the community that they serve. We ask that you continue to watch over our emergency responders and continue to give strength and guidance and support to our staff. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Thank you, Sean. Alrighty, it's 9:02. Amanda, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
Alrighty, we're all here. We have a quorum. So first item of business we have is approval of the agenda. Accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So our first item of business are the items on consent. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we accept the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept and approve the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All righty, moving on to elected officials, department head, and staff reports. I don't believe we have any elected officials to present today, but I know we had several staff members. I'd like to first ask Darcy to come up and tell us about the recent award in Human Services.
Good morning, commissioners, elected officials, colleagues, and guests. I'm Darcy. I'm the director of Elbert County Department of Human Services. And on August 2nd, our department was presented with the Distinguished Performer Award for our CSTAT performance with the Colorado Department of Human Services for the year 2022. CSTAT is a performance-based analysis strategy that allows every program within the Colorado Department of Human Services to better focus on and improve performance outcomes. By identifying areas of focus, CDHS determines what is working and what needs to be improved. By measuring the impact of day-to-day efforts, we were able to make more informed collaborative decisions to align our efforts and resources to affect positive change for our citizens. Each division within the following offices collects the data, examines on a monthly basis for behavioral health, children, youth and families, early childhood, economic security, and adult aging and disability services. Distinguished Performance Awards recognize and celebrate consistency. To earn this award, a county must meet goals for all 18 performance measures at least 75% of the time. Elbert County, we met our goal 81.3% of the time, and we met it 100% of the time in 3 of those 18 performance measures. We ended the year 2022 the 9th highest ranking county out of 64 for meeting our monthly goals. This is the second award that we have earned in CSTATs, but this is the first time that we met all performance measures agency-wide. It was a great honor to receive this award on behalf of our awesome staff. The achievement of meeting these goals shows the dedication that our staff has to the individuals and families that we serve in Elbert County. I want to thank the commissioners and the county manager for all of their support. It means a lot to me and the rest of our staff in Human Services. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce and congratulate my management staff who have led their departments and played a significant role in achieving all of these goals. You guys can stand. This is Cheryl Guerra in the center. She is our Assistance Programs Manager for Economic Security. We have Brandy Snelling on the end. She is also an Assistance Programs Manager. She does early childhood, economic security, which is TANF, and she's our Manager for Child Support Services. And we have Misty Callahan here, who is our Protective Services Administrator for the Children, Youth, and Families and Adult Aging and Disability Services. So thank you very much.
Before you sit down, you want to come up? We've got a photo op, I guess. Let's celebrate together at the flags.
Sure.
I do appreciate all you do. I know you work with those that need the most help in the county, and you do a fine, truly excellent job of it. The award demonstrates that, and I know your previous award received during the time of COVID, and everything that you did during then to keep services available was just tremendous work from everybody. But anybody else have anything to add?
I was pleased to be there at the award and watching your whole team in the same room. It's obviously a very close, tight-knit group, and that goes back to leadership. So I congratulate you, Darcy, and all of you. A team that's working well, clicking well, all goes back to leadership, and we really appreciate it.
My comment over and above that is thanks for your leadership and thanks for your commitment to the county.
No, thank you. Next item up we had was Mark Dettenreiter from CDS. I know we've asked he and his staff to start kind of shaping a larger discussion of growth management in the county. So I believe you kind of were going to give us a quick look at what you were planning, and if you need further guidance, we're here. So thanks.
Other elected officials, staff, fellow citizens, I'm Mark Dettenreiter, Director of Community and Economic Development. As Commissioner Richardson indicated, a topic came up actually at a town hall meeting related to county growth recently, how it's managed and the rate and type of development, et cetera. So we are going to be diving into this topic and would like to share with you at greater length at the next Board of County Commissioners meeting what we've come up with. As a discussion agenda item at the next meeting, we like to spend about 15 minutes or so, if that's okay with you all, covering some important areas on this subject. These areas would include county authorities regarding land use. I'd also like to outline the guiding documents that we have here at the county that have been produced in the past or either in the works or are planned in the relative near term. We'll go over existing plans, cost of plans, timelines, public input as part of that process, purpose of the plans, and so on. Our legal counsel, Mr. Greer, will discuss moratoriums during that discussion item. And lastly, we'll cover some demographic projections as well. Just really wanted to just lay that out and ask you, gentlemen, if there's anything else you'd like us to cover in that discussion when we come back to present.
Anything from Mark specific? Yeah, I know the concerns that came forward were generally regarding the age and sufficiency of our guiding documents. So, I mean, I think an analysis on the staff side of, do we have in place what we need to manage projects that come before us is key to that. And I know there's been some other local governments in the county that have had some, I know Town of Kiowa would put a moratorium in place for some very specific reasons. There were some recent votes in Elizabeth, so I think just kind of clearing the air and letting folks know how the county operates in in relation to, or the differences between municipal authorities and county authorities. Or I know there's some shades of difference there too, and I think it's helpful if both we and our citizens have a good understanding of the differences there. But I appreciate you taking this on, Mark. I know there's always a lot going on down there, but it's probably a good time with new staff as well to be looking at these documents together. So,
Agreed.
okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
All righty. And then I guess next up we had Monty Hankins, our Director of Public Works, and to introduce some topics regarding the work of our noxious weed advisory board.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, Monty Hankins, Director of Public Works. As of late, Public Works has had the privilege to work with the Elbert County Noxious Weed Board, and it is my privilege to introduce the president of the Elbert County Noxious Weed Board, Ms. Sue Link.
Sue, welcome.
Very good. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Sue Link, President, Elbert County Noxious Weed Advisory Board. With me on our board, I have Jean Allen and several friends and partners. We were appointed in 2022. We're not even a year in yet, and I feel like we kind of hit the ground running. We're trying to do the best we can. This is our new logo that it took a little bit of time to get developed, but we all agreed, and here we are. I'd like to start first with our purpose, goals, and objectives. First, this is the lane that we've identified that we're trying to stay within. There's so much to do, and it's easy to get bogged down, but here we are. We're here to make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners, county staff regarding Elbert County Noxious Weed Control Policy and to ensure compliance with the Colorado Weed Act. Highest on our list would be educate county residents, landowners, public entities about the necessity of preventing, controlling, and managing noxious weeds in Elbert County. This cow is number 675, and this is her red Angus calf. Right next to her, you can see her goals, her purpose, and her objectives. Slightly easier than ours. Where we started, we first educated ourselves with a professional weed sprayer, and many of you might know him. He's Mitch Rohr. He does a wonderful job. He came in, I think he spent 2 hours with us talking specifically about the weeds in our county and what he addresses. We researched neighboring county weed boards. We've learned from Road and Bridge what their current operating practices and future goals are. We've looked into state funding opportunities and how best to educate our county. This is our neighbor, Jim Fawnin, and you can see it's a big job to be a farmer in our county. It's a big job to be a rancher in our county, and weeds are very important. What have we done thus far? Tell me if you think we're the bicyclists or are we the yearlings in front of him. We've hit some High Prairie Times Facebook articles. We've written some, and we've had partners help us with that. We're working with Extension and RCS. We've applied for a CDA grant. We're also, and CDA is Colorado Department of Agriculture. We've also started the process on hopefully a next grant this year, an opportunity. We have a drone video project. Thank you to Eric Larson and his help with using a drone that's captured an overgrazed 60-acre pasture that was completely grazed to the ground. It was at one point a horse rescue facility, and more than 100 horses on it for over 2 years, which you know then there was nothing left on this 60 acres. We were able to get a shot of that with the drone completely down to the dirt, 60 acres. And then we were able to come back after the first green up and get a shot of what it looks like, and you can imagine what grew back. And then we went from there and took another shot of it just recently. The landowner has given us the permission to do that. She is working with NRCS. She'll have the weeds sprayed, mitigated. We'll go back and look at what a real stand, a healthy grass stand would be, healthy forbs. So great opportunity to show that. And I want to just say shout out to Eric Larson. Thank you for his help on that. We attended the stand-up booth on April 18th at the fairgrounds. We worked with the master gardeners on that, answered many questions about noxious weeds. We attended the Elizabeth's booth before it got rained out. We were at the Elbert County Fair, the master gardener weed class, and Jean Allen also provided noxious weeds for the exhibits to show people. I think that was a hit. There were several people that showed up for that and wanted to know more information. We also created the Elbert County A, B, and C noxious weed list, which you will see in 2 weeks on your next meeting. And we defined target areas to educate landowners and residents. We also targeted 2-year to 5-year-old resident and landowners. So we want to hit the people that are coming into the county because we feel like that is our first targeted area. What next? This is my dog Tig. He's always looking for what's next. He wishes there were cows in his future, which there usually are. We're into education, big time. That's our lane. This is where we are. We're not here for compliance. We're here for education at this point. We're working on a project to send postcards to our target areas, create more articles, hopefully hold a seminar, weed walks, Facebook, Instagram, Nextdoor app. We'd like to hit where we can and reach people on the digital front. We think that that's very important. We'd like to get into mapping. We think that's very huge. The Colorado Department of Ag has a map, and even though we think that there's been more activity, they show last updated in our county was 2017 on mapping noxious weeds. You can imagine we've probably increased our load of noxious weeds since 2017. We're also looking at test plots. We have one working now where it's on a ranch, and we've taken panels and paneled off an area of ground that has weeds on it, and then cattle graze around that area, and we're kind of watching to see what happens there. We're taking pictures with that. We'd like to go to some messaging specifically on fire mitigation. Dry weeds equal fire, right? We know, or fuel. We know that that's a dangerous thing. We'd like to get that message out. We're going to continue to work with our resource partners, Extension. Shout out to Kelly Benson. She's been hugely helpful with us. NRCS and all their recommendations on how to treat noxious weeds, how to spray them, what to use to spray them, what other mitigating factors such as bugs and mechanical methods. We'd like to reach out to forestry, U.S. forestry, and talk to them because there's leafy spurge that'll grow under trees, but you sure don't want to spray the leafy spurge with the wrong chemical. You'll kill your trees. And then CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, they weigh in on the weeds too. So what weeds do to our county, it really decreases our land values, right? We want to keep our land values up. We want the wildlife. We want all of that. So I showed you today I'm going to show you, I guess, top 3 of our noxious weeds. This first one is leafy spurge. This is on list B, and I'll describe list A, list B, list C. But list B is we want to manage and eradicate where we can. Leafy spurge, it's a non-native deep-rooted perennial, spreads by seeds, extensive creeping roots up to 30 feet. 1 to 3 feet in height, flowers are small, yellowish green. One plant can produce 130,000 seeds, which can explode and project up to 15 feet away. Add our wind factor, which we often get in the fall, and this plant can go many miles. This leafy spurge is in too many places in our county, but I didn't take a specific shot because I feel like it's everywhere. Here we have Canada thistle, also a list B noxious weed, non-native, deep-rooted perennial, spreads by seeds, 1,000 to 1,500 seeds per plant. Seeds survive up to 20 years. And aggressive creeping creeping and creepy horizontal roots, 2 to 4 feet tall. This is one of the most troublesome weeds in the United States. As you can see, this picture was taken County Road 98 near Douglas County. It's near where I live, County Road 98 and County Road 5. If there's a good thing about this picture, this little shot, these weeds are in a 3-foot area, manageable by spray, if we could get it sprayed. I know right now the efforts being made to mitigate weeds in the county from our county perspective is mowing. So that's helpful, but wouldn't it be great to spray that and be rid of it today? Here's diffuse snapweed, List B, also County Road 98 near Douglas County. Non-native, biennial, reproduces solely by seed, up to 18,000 seeds per plant, viable for 10 years. 1 to 3 feet tall, flowers are mostly white, sometimes pink. Tough competitor on dry sites, rapidly invades, dominates, disturbs area. Can you read into development when we have all that ground that's been disturbed, sits dry? This is a favorite place for this weed as well. Allelopathic root compounds, decreases grass germination. Basically, this plant is so efficient that it also makes it very difficult for grass to grow around it. So I want to thank you for helping us find our ways through the weeds. This is my dog, Zip. And this year, the weeds and grass have grown over his head. But I especially want to thank all 3 of the commissioners, Sean Fletcher, Monty Hankins, Ken Denson, Cynthia T., Callie Benson, Raylene Owen, she's the master gardener, and Eric Larson, and I'm sure there's many more to thank. But are there any questions?
Questions or comments for? Thank you.
I'm just going to make a comment. The Canadian thistle, where I grew up, it was called Russian thistle.
So Grant, you'll be glad to know that the weed isn't actually named after your home grounds. It is named after a man with the last name Canada. So we've all been saying it wrong forever. It is Canada thistle. Thank you for that, though.
No, and I do appreciate the direction you guys have taken and all the energy and obvious time that you've put into this. I know we're about 20 years overdue in really establishing this program statutorily. I know there was an effort made about a decade ago that kind of crashed on takeoff because the focus was compliance, and I think the look at education and connecting people with available resources is absolutely the right direction. So I thank you and everybody involved for taking it this far, and obviously, looking to take it further, and appreciate meeting your dog.
Oh. Well, thank you, Commissioner Richardson. We thank you for the opportunity to help Elbert County get better. We are about that. We want to keep the county beautiful too. We want to get the message out. I know there's so many people that don't understand the impact of noxious weeds. So thank you.
Thank you much. And I know since you're here, Monty, and you were up front earlier, you don't have to come up, but I just wanted to extend my thanks for all the work you and your crews have been doing to put the roads back together. That tremendous work on 13, even though it was more and repeated. I was at the Elizabeth School District's kind of convocation, getting all their folks and staff together for the start of the new year, and they were very complimentary getting the roads, especially 13, open before the buses start running later this week. So thank you. Yeah.
I might just address that real quick. We have been on the 4 roads that we have closed that are totally damaged, gone, road closures. We have been kind of in a holding pattern, plus working on 13 and such, as far as putting those roads back together. Waiting on to see what the FEMA outcome was from that. At this point, I know they are still working on it on their side, but we're going to begin to work on those major damage areas on our side. We're going to start with County Road 102 coming up and move on from there. So I just didn't want folks to think we're just sitting on it and not putting it out front as a priority, but we are, and we'll start diligently, actively working on those in the next couple months. So.
I appreciate that. I think we all know government runs slower than we want, and the higher you go, the slower it gets. So, yeah. I mean, I assume we will someday get a response from FEMA, and some of this will be reimbursed.
Hopefully it'll be a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
All righty, moving on to citizen public comment. This is an opportunity for folks to bring up issues that aren't necessarily on today's agenda. We won't dive into long responses or corrections of issues, but it helps us tee up for future meetings. We did have one comment that came by email. Had we have anybody that wanted to be called? Okay, so I'll run through the email comment and then we'll go to the room. This was from Ms. Durant, Bev Durant, who lives at 40968 Kiowa Bennett Road. She did send a note to our last meeting as well because she wasn't able to attend. And she just writes that she's written us several times in the past, only once have received a response. The citizens that elected you would greatly appreciate at least something stating you've read our communications. If the response is you received too many communications to respond to anybody, then perhaps these are issues you should address and listen to. She had two concerns. The first was the proposed XL power lines. She'd sent 2 letters on this already and hope that you're considering the effects it'll have on Elbert County, its citizens, its nature and beauty. This is a permanent monstrosity for the county. You should protect the county and the citizens as much as you can. The second concern she had is regarding development. As been stated previously, she does not believe that developers are following the rules and regulations set for the area. Questions why. She believes it's time to stop and take a pause, make sure you update your guiding documents as your documents state you should do. Please make sure all employees in the county are following each and every rule and regulation you've passed for development and zoning. This is your fiduciary responsibility as you took an oath to uphold the county, state, and federal laws and constitution. This is an issue that will not go away and is our duty, or your duty, to address this. Should not be pushed off to a colleague or forget about it and hope the citizens of the county go away. All 3 of you have a responsibility to act. The future of Elbert County is in your hands. Do not ignore this. Thank you for your time and consideration, and please update the citizens of Elbert County on your actions. I believe we have some other folks in the room that wanted to talk about the XL issue itself. So we'll go to the room and then we'll respond afterwards. We have some other. Oh, why, thank you, Amanda. Oh, okay, thank you. All righty. Yeah, thank you, Amanda. Actually, we had a second letter that was received after our cutoff for the meeting, our last meeting, and so this is from Jane Penley of 625 County Road 45. Town hall meeting on July 21st in Elbert was well attended, and several citizens of Elbert spoke to the BOCC of their concerns with current activity in the county. One citizen asked the BOCC to consider putting moratorium on building, especially concerning the 3 very large housing developments before the county. I would like to remind the BOCC of a former commissioner, John Dunn, who in early 2000 did agree to put a moratorium on building. The actions of John Dunn were due to the fact that building was at a faster rate than the creation of infrastructure. John Dunn will always be remembered as a commissioner that listened to the citizens, realizing that it was the citizens that elected him to represent them, and he had a duty to do that. Listen to the citizens, not the developers. My last question to this current BOCC is, what will your legacy be? What will you be remembered for? Positions are temporary, ranks and titles are limited, but the way you treat people will always be remembered. Okay. And then thirdly, this is lengthy. Hopefully we'll make the 3-minute limit, but it's from Gary Austin of Windy Hill Ranch, P.O. Box 659, Kiowa. And it is in reference to the XL Colorado Power Pathway project. I'm writing this letter to voice my strong personal opposition to the current preferred and alternate routes for Segment 5 of XL's Colorado Power Pathway. I'm a landowner that has been contacted by XL contractors and have been advised that my land is being crossed by XL's published preferred route along Highway 86 in Elbert County. I'm not speaking for any other person or entity. I'm writing to inform those concerned with planning and development and permitting and construction of this project about the project's impacts on myself and my family. We've been losing the rural character of Elbert County slowly for many years. The pace has greatly accelerated in the past 3 years. I live 3 miles east of the Kiowa Post Office in one of the few places where mature 150-year-old ponderosa pines hug sides of 86. It is a major wildlife north-south crossing. It has always been quiet and private for the human and wildlife families that live in the trees. We bought the highway frontage from our neighbor when he retired and his health was declining. We paid a very high price for that land as it borders the highway, had 2 surface ponds, an existing water well, and local power distribution along the highway. It is also home to a major deer and pronghorn population, along with fox, coyote, porcupines, raccoons, skunk, rabbit, and owls and hawks, and many other transient wildlife. We breed, calved, and raised Galingo belted cattle here for 28 years and summered them on the land in the Bijou near Freeze Road. Only 20 years ago, on horseback, you could drive cattle from the Bijou right down 86 to pastures along Kiowa Creek. The occasional car would follow patiently along behind the herd until a horseback neighbor or kid could ride back and collect them and or escort them through the herd to the ahead side. These days, I can't turn my truck into a road from 86 without a honk and a waving finger out a window. All our growth hasn't been delightful, but we endured it. Having the power transmission project is not something we can endure. It means the complete, clear-cut destruction of my home place. We bought this land for its mixed grass and forest character. The trees provide a noise break from the highway traffic and shelter our home from the winds. They also provide a safety barrier to stop cars and trucks that are involved in accidents and leave the roadway out of control and airborne at 70 miles per hour from hitting our home and children playing outside. They increase the value of our property by providing privacy from traffic and neighborhood homes. I followed the power project several years ago when the route wasn't anywhere near our ranch. Then I was contacted by phone in late February this year and advised not only that the route had changed, but the preferred route was in survey and permitting stage, and it would take 100 to 150 foot swath.
Chairman, that's 3 minutes.
Okay, yeah, there's a bit more I'll go through. The towers to hold up the lines were even taller than some of the oldest trees on our land. Why wasn't there more communication earlier to all the county, but especially to landowners on the that were directly impacted? When are the public meetings and public information on the route changes going to be shared? It seems this new route, which has no county review, is moving ahead with low-level flyover helicopter flights and contractors serving on the highway. The route will destroy my lifestyle, ruin my home. With the economy in shambles and inflation and cost of living, being retired is financially difficult. And it goes on to explain some family circumstances and concerns about reduced value to the land. He does not want the power line in his front yard. No one else along the proposed route does either. If I could sell it now, that the route has been proposed, I'd only get a fraction of the current value. Likely in circumstances, I would get less than I paid for the land. So along with the beauty and safety and peace and quiet being destroyed, so is my financial security. Those, I guess, are all that we've received by email. Do we have anybody in the room that wanted to make comment?
Good morning, Commissioners. Carrie Giblets, 19656 Wiedemeyer Road, Kiowa, on the Board of Directors of Elbert County Environmental Alliance, and I too wish to speak about the XL power lines. Once again, I've been out of the country, and while I was gone, I realized that there was a pre-application meeting with XL, and I wondered if you could give us an update on where we are in that process. And also, as you know, we've been fighting this route for over 2 years now. And in those 2 years' time, I have yet to come in contact with anybody who is in agreement with this route. And I wondered if you, with all the people that you come in contact with, if you have come across anybody who is in favor of this route or the alternate route. And if I might assume that, based on what I know, there are no Elbert County citizens who are in favor of this route. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have anybody else that would like to make comment?
Good morning, Commissioners. Don Gray, 16,000 Highway 86. Building on what Carrie just said, Excel is quick to point out that they're only going to affect 50 landowners within the county. My research says of those 50, there's also at least 75 homes that are within a half mile of this proposed route. Now, if you go out to a mile away from that, you're approaching almost 200 homes that are going to be affected by this power line. Our concern is Excel won't address any of those landowners outside of their preferred route, actual crossing their property. In my case, 150 feet across the highway from me, that landowner's never been approached by Excel. They're not even spoken to. They don't get flyers. They only point out those 50 landowners. And on those, there's only, I'm guessing, 14 to 15 of those 50 properties have actual residents on them. So that's their approach that they're taking, but it affects everybody's property value within the county, regardless of how the route goes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any comment or response on those?
Yeah, we're just getting started as far as the Excel application is concerned. We haven't seen anything formal yet. They have met with our CDS department, but we're a long ways from having any analytical information to help us make good decisions. So stick with us, and we'll see what the next step is.
And just to the question if we've heard of any positives on it, I have not.
Yeah, I'd echo that. Yeah, my understanding again of the process is there has been a scheduled pre-application meeting that has occurred, that had to occur within 28 days of the request. I believe staff's response has been that essentially the information received during that pre-app really didn't rise to the level of what was needed, and so I'm getting a nod. So there'll be another scheduled pre-app, and I think that's another 28-day period. So, but once through the pre-application process, the ball then kind of does fall in Excel's court to prepare all the material that's been asked for a formal application. Once that is received, staff will review. I'm sure there'll be other questions that go out before that need to be responded to before that would be deemed complete. But once an application's deemed complete, it starts a 90-day clock to work through to a final decision by this board. So there's a lot of back and forth. It's kind of a tennis match where people on both sides of the net can hold the ball for a while and do other things. So I'd love to be able to give a specific timeline, but it's the lawyerly, it depends. So, but again, the comments in the room, the comments from email, we do recognize the concerns, and I think share quite a few of them, and are going to do our best to ensure that they are addressed in some manner as this goes forward. The first couple of letters that were kind of discussing the management of growth in the county, the regulations, et cetera, I think that was kind of addressed earlier by Mark and our plan going forward to look at how we manage that growth. But again, I know Mr. Ant's written a couple of times. Grant, if you want to take those specific questions on that she poses and get back to her, I'd appreciate that. So, I think that closes out public comment. We had no discussion items today, though several good presentations from staff. So moving on to action items. The first item we have is consideration of our minutes from the July 12th meeting. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the July 12th, 2023 minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the minutes of July 12th and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The second item we have is consideration of a resolution regarding the our organizational meeting, a supplement to that with appointments to the Elbert County Building Authority. Bart, you had something on that?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Bart Greer, County Attorney. This is quite simply a supplement to what we do on an annual basis. At the beginning of the year, or as close to it as we possibly can, we do appointments. There's a resolution where we do a slate of appointments, and that's sometimes very similar to the prior year. Sometimes, people have moved on, or certain positions have been timed out as far as how long someone's able to serve there for their term. This is just updating a couple of positions that are outlined within the resolution for the Elbert County Building Authority to reflect the personnel that should be in charge of that specific building authority based on current personnel. So it's really just an update, a supplement to keep up to date, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Bart?
No
Okay, so with that, I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move we approve a resolution 23-TBD, organizational meeting supplement to the 2023 appointments to the Elbert County Building Authority.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I did fail to ask if there was any comments from the room on this item. Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Next item and our last action item today is consideration of approval of a resolution opposing Senate Bill 23303 and Proposition HH that was contained within it. We discussed this at our last meeting. It was our belief as a board and individual commissioners that both the proposition that was being forwarded to the ballot and the statute that was passed that supported that violated the state constitution's requirement for a single subject to be addressed. And in this case, it was a minor bit of property tax relief funded by a reduction or a raise in the Tabor cap going forward that would generally eliminate future Tabor refunds, but also included support for renters, which was way outside the property tax subject, and we're party to a lawsuit that's going to be decided by the state Supreme Court later this month. But if the Supreme Court does rule against our petition and this does go forward to the ballot, this is a recommendation that folks do vote against that. And the resolution itself reads, it's a resolution 23-2 to be determined, urging voter opposition to the question that will appear on the 2023 general election ballot as State Proposition HH. And it says, whereas the Elbert County Board of County Commissioner firmly believes that citizens should have a say in matters of taxation and public spending, and whereas an informed vote requires clear and concise ballot language that adequately describes the full impact of a yes or no vote, and whereas the Colorado General Assembly passed legislation signed into law by the governor on May 24th, 2023, known as Senate Bill 23-303, with a short title of Reduced Property Taxes and Voter-Approved Revenue Change, which is a lengthy 48-page bill with a 17-line formal title and 24 specific sections that is neither clear nor concise and contains a question referred to for voter approval, and whereas the referred ballot measure language specified is, shall the state reduce property taxes for homes and businesses, including expanding property tax relief for seniors and backfill counties, water districts, fire districts, ambulance and hospital districts, and other local governments, and fund school districts by using a portion of the state surplus up to the Proposition HH cap as defined in this measure, is the question. And whereas this question does not specify the amount of taxes to be reduced, does not specify what the expanded property tax relief for senior citizens consists of, does not specify the amount of backfill to various local government types or indicate this backfill will not be perpetual, does not indicate the state surplus consists of tax dollars collected over and above the current Tabor cap that would otherwise be refunded, nor does it specify what the new Tabor cap defined in the measure would, or that the new Tabor cap defined in the measure would allow government to grow at a much greater rate than inflation and population. And whereas the funding of schools in this manner was previously submitted to the people as Proposition CC in 2019 and failed to gain their approval, and whereas hiding this previously failed measure behind a vaguely worded promise of a property tax decrease, which will in fact be much smaller than the amount of new taxes collected and kept by the state, is misleading and potentially a violation of the state constitution. And whereas Senate Bill 303 likely violates the single subject requirement found in the state constitution by addressing multiple subjects, property tax relief, school funding, funds the Housing Development Grant Fund, and establishes a tenant relief program, and may very well be overturned by courts and ongoing challenges to which Elbert County is a party. Now therefore be it resolved that the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners of Elbert County, Colorado officially declares its opposition to both Senate Bill 23-303 and the referred measure it contains, Proposition HH, as they clearly violate the spirit and likely the clear language of the state constitution, seem purposefully written to mislead voters into approving a measure they recently voted down in another form, and obscures the fact that passage would eliminate future Tabor refunds and further reduce the limits placed on the growth of government in this state. And be it further resolved that the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners urges all voters to vote no on Proposition HH should it appear on the November 23 ballot. And it would, if approved, it would be adopted on this day. So that's the text of the resolution. Is there any comment here or in the room?
Just my comment is that after reading this stuff, it's clearly deceptive. It's they allude to the fact that there may be a minimum property tax reduction in this short term, but it'll kill Tabor over the life, and therefore it'll affect refunds and all sorts of limitations on expenditures. I support this opposition.
Yeah, I concur. It's obviously a continuing of the attack on Tabor that's been going on in the last few years at the state level, and we need to oppose it.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, were it to pass, the reduction in the residential assessment rate is 0.005%, I believe. So it's a very slight reduction across the state. It would reduce property tax collections by about $200 million, but over time would allow this the state to collect tens of billions of tax dollars. What's ignored a lot, and I know we've gone through the notice evaluations and Board of Equalization, and folks have seen what the values of their market values of their properties go up greatly, but what's often ignored is our role and the role of other local governments in actually setting the mill levy, and that's one of the three components that actually make up your property taxes, and that is the mill levy rate itself is controlled locally. There was other legislation passed this year that provides much more flexibility to local governments in doing temporary reductions of those mill rates so we can address spikes in property tax levels. And I think that's being overshadowed quite a bit by this proposal HH that in some are kind of promoting as the state riding in to save everybody. And it just the quick analysis we've done, if Proposition HH were to pass, it would lower the tax increase in this county, if nothing else were done with mill levies, to only 27%. And that's not a reduction in anything. It's a slight reduction in a very large increase. So anyway, that's all I've got. But I would ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution opposing SB 23-303 Proposition HH.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the resolution as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I believe moving on to board planning, we'll be set to hear the results of our audit at next meeting, or no? Okay. But we're moving forward on that. Okay. Thanks. So I know we have some of our standard recurring items coming up, but we'll add to those as we go forward with staff. So the next item of business we have is until 1 p.m. We've got a use by special review for organization called Touched by a Horse. That'll be held here at 1 p.m. So until then, we're in recess. It's 9:54. So if you come back, we'll see you then. If not, thank you for attending today.